for joining us for another special episode of KC Chase to the Pennant, where we break down all things Royals as they chase the pennant this season. My name is Kevin O'Brien, and with me are Jared Perkins and Preston Farr from Farm to Fountains. The three of us today are also joined by minor league reliever Walter Pennington. Walter, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for hopping on with us. Just to start with, I think we should highlight just like how solid you're doing this season down there in Omaha. Personally, I would have liked to see you in Kansas City because you had a stellar spring. But I mean, compared to last year, your strikeout rate is up, what is almost 10%. Your walks are way down. So, I mean, it's been a good year all around. Based on what you focused on in spring and in the off season, is there anything specific that you think is kind of tied into that success? Is there anything that you attribute that to?
Yeah. Well, I just had the best spring training in my life where I was unconscious. I don't know how that happened. They actually kept a punchy count for me on the whiteboard in spring training. Like,
it's awesome.
I'm not that guy. If you look at my stats, it's like I'm not the strikeout guy. But I don't know what happened in spring training. So I've been training in Arizona in the off seasons, so I can work at the complex and get around the coaches and really do what they want me to do to give me the best opportunities. And I was there with Stetter, the bullpen coach for the Royals, and we kind of broke down my player plan of like, okay, what do I do well and what do I not do well? And what it came down to is I was walking way too many guys, and when the ball was put in play, I was really limiting damage. And so that kind of made me come to the realization of I shouldn't be afraid of contact. And you hear that as a minor or a little league player coming up, just pitch to contact. And so really not being afraid of them hitting it has led to me throwing more strikes, and that has led me to more strikeouts, which is pretty darn cool.
That slider, it's just they can't hit it all year so far.
We call it an invisible slider, and there's nothing special to it. It's just a gyro slider. It's like 0-0, like a bullet. It must be a funky arm angle thing or something. I don't know.
It's working though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of hit on a little bit of the points there. You talked about some of the rating the zone a little bit more, but what's been some of your goals that you've had placed in this season? Aside, of course, I'm assuming from a big league call up, hopefully sometime soon. What are you hoping to achieve this year?
Yeah, so from an analytical standpoint, I have a mechanical engineering background, so I really like numbers. We broke down those numbers with Stetter, and we want to keep first pitch strikes around 65%. So doing that, and then we have a category called early and ahead, which means winning those 1-1 counts. So we want to get that 1-1 count to 1-2 count. And I don't know what the stats are on that, but I guess there's a big difference between a 1-1 count turning into a 2-1 count or 1-2 count. So really focusing on getting that to 75%. Those are my analytical quantitative goals.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you said you have an engineering background. I mean, going to School of Mines is not an easy school to get into. So I totally understand that. Speaking of just kind of analytics and, the Royals have seen pitching improvement throughout the farm system this year, and from low A all the way to triple A. A ton of arms in the minor leagues are sticking out, including you. What kind of changes in process have you seen this year compared to maybe last year or years prior? And what focuses do you see from the pitching development team that you feel helps system-wide to find success?
We're starting to get more analytically driven like everyone else in baseball, but it's starting to have more transparency. And maybe the years past, the transparency was too much that there's all this information being thrown at us, which we previously did not have, and we didn't know what to do with it. We're chasing numbers that we don't even have control over. And so now they have all the coaches and then staff are there to translate that for us. And so what's really been nice is we'll take all this information, they'll simplify it and give it back to me. So like I sat down with Stetter, they're doing this for everyone, is they see I have a bunch of walks. All right, first pitch strike, 75% or 65%, whatever it is. So taking all this complex analytical data and just giving it to me straight.
Does that tie into like what you're mentioning about like your pitching plan and what you're going to focus on for the year?
That's where I get all this stuff from. So after every game, we get a report, and it lays out how the game was that day, as well as the season totals. And it just really nicely packs it in there, see how I'm doing. So I don't really have to guess what I have to do to get to the next level.
Nice. I like that.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Once you eventually do make your big league debut, hopefully sooner rather than later, you'll be the first Colorado School of Mines alumnus since 1906.
I didn't know there was anybody there.
Roy Hartzell. Jared found that for us.
Yeah. I think he played
So
till like
I talked-
1916, like 10-year career.
That's good track for me. I'd love that.
Yeah, that you can hold your hang your hat on that. But I talked to you a little bit in spring training about like some of that path. But what are some of like the best memories, or if you look back at your career so far, what are some of like the things you look back on most?
It's kind of just how I ended up here. Like you said, there's not a lot of guys from Colorado School of Mines playing big league ball, and I really would like to make a name for that school as well. I'm so thankful for the people along the way who've helped me, but just to see how I've been led here, of going from D2 ball, COVID hit, so I had all these options. I was like going between being an engineer, or I was even discerning becoming like a Christian missionary, or going to grad school. And then all of a sudden, baseball's thrown back at us saying you get a season back. I was like, all right, I'm going to go grad school and try to get drafted again. And so I continued training during COVID. And there's a World Series for college summer ball in Kansas. And so I go and play on this team for one game. I never played with them. And I started for 4 innings. And after the game, I didn't think anything of it, but I was sitting 91. And then Matt Price, one of the Royal Scouts, came up to me. He's like, hey, you ever interested into signing a professional contract? Heck yeah. I've been that team the whole time. And so like all that comes together to baseball, and then that brings me to my wife now, and we have a baby, and just how much greater my life is because of this path. It's just very unlikely.
Awesome story.
It's incredible. That's incredible. It's all, obviously having the Mines background and growing up in Colorado, you were a two-way player in high school. And then, you go to Mines and you set the record in wins and innings pitched. Throughout your youth or even college career, who are some of your baseball influences and maybe players you looked up to and maybe modeled yourself and your game after?
In my room growing up, I had a fat head of Troy Tulowitzki. I was a big Rockies fan growing up.
Love it.
Being left-handed doesn't help that I can't play shortstop. Todd Helton there too. I really appreciated when they went to the World Series of the pitchers like Ubaldo Jimenez. But my faith is a big part of my life, and going through this, I've noticed Mike Sweeney. He's been a big impact in my life. I went to a conference in college, and he was speaking there. I never heard of him before. And I heard that there's this athlete who's Christian. I was like, I've never heard of one of them before. And I heard him talk, and he was the real deal. It wasn't like some guy who's just talking the talk, but he walked it. And then come to find out, I signed with the Royals, and he's a player support staff. I get to meet this guy. I get to live with this guy. He comes around, and he's very involved in my life. And I've just really appreciated the man that he is. Again, walking the walk and not just talking about it.
Yeah, I love that, because one thing I like to focus on is the human side of players behind of what the numbers on the field and the box scores and things like that, because I think that's an important aspect of the game that kind of gets lost. So it's cool to hear you kind of touch on the faith and how important that is to you. And you also really talk about kind of the engineering background you got from the School of Mines. So I have to ask, even though you've touched on a couple of them, what are some of the passions that you have away from the game of baseball that really help you separate Walter, the baseball player, from like Walter, the human being?
Yeah, my faith is a big part of my life, like I mentioned. I don't really focus on the engineering degree anymore. It's been 4 years, and I just haven't done it. But hopefully I never have to use it. I really enjoy fishing too. So on every off day, which we get on Monday, I go fishing, kind of clear my head, and some players will join, and we'll just get out and not talk and fish.
What's the best fishing spot out there?
So all the lakes around Omaha are highly pressured, at least the easy ones to get to. But I don't know. I like to go and just have a line in the water, even if I don't catch anything.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome in Colorado. There's probably tons of fishing spots.
I'd love to get back there.
Yeah.
One day.
Going back to baseball a little bit, I think like the whole bullpen around you in Omaha has really stood out this year. I mean, you've got Will Klein, who I know you guys have kind of come through the system a little bit, so you know each other. Sam Long, he's kind of a newcomer. Evan Sisk, really just like the whole bullpen. I'm sure I forgot somebody. Jonah DePoto. But could you tell me just a little bit about that group? How helpful has that like group around you been? And are there anything that like you guys as a group kind of focus on this year? Any goals that you all have together?
That's been great coming up with Will, Jonah, and even Christian Chamberlain, who has been John this year. But we've been through it. It's been good because they know what I have. I know what they have. So if things aren't going well, they know how to respond to me. They know kind of my mechanics, but it's more mentally. They know what I need. And it's been good to have Sam Long, Altavilla, and Duffy, who just got called up around us because they have the big league time and they know what it's about. So they can kind of speak into what they see with us, what we need to change mentally and physically. And Sam Long's my catch play partner, so it's been great to make his mind about these things.
Love that.
Yeah, and that's kind of was like leading to my next question was kind of like with the veterans, and you talked about your relationship with Sam Long and what are some of the kind of things that he helps you out with, maybe, or some other veterans that help you out. What are kind of some of the things they bring to your attention or try to guide you, especially those that have big league experience? What are kind of some of the things they tell you as you prepare for the major leagues?
This has been kind of a learning process of pitching more frequently. In spring training especially, they built me up like to pitch every other day, which I'm not really used to. And now pitching multiple innings multiple times a week, it really takes a toll on my body. And I know it's even going to be more intense in the big leagues when they have to go back-to-back or 3 days in a row, which I haven't really done. So they have helped provide insight of how to stay healthy, what it looks like on a daily basis, how you should be feeling, what to do if you're feeling this way, and the type of carry that you need to give your body in order to stay healthy for 162 games.
Love it. Looks like we're going to go into some immaculate inning questions. So it sounds like we have 9 rapid fire questions to hit you with. First one I'm going to go with, because I always ask this question to a lot of guys when I do interviews, is what's a go-to restaurant in Omaha?
The Drover. I went there the other day for my birthday with my parents. Great steakhouse.
Love it. I figured it had to be some kind of steak place.
Yeah, I was going to say it is Omaha.
Yeah, I tried cooking steaks in my little apartment here. And I set off the smoke alarm at like 9 p.m. We eat late.
All right, what's your ideal walk-up song or entrance song if you're coming to the mound?
Freight Train by Aaron Watson. It's like a hype-based country song.
Okay, nice. All right, are you more of a cat person or are you more of a dog person?
Absolutely dog.
Okay.
I'm allergic to cats, so that doesn't.
Same here. Yeah, cats.
That makes it easy.
Go-to vacation spot.
Well, we went on our honeymoon in Cancun.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Good
Who would
spot.
be your dream teammate, past or present?
I'd like to meet just a legendary pitcher, Nolan Ryan. Having him to teach me, I'd love to throw hard like him.
So if you could strike out a current player in the major leagues, who would be your dream person to strike out?
I think everyone would say Aaron Judge or Mike Trout. Great hitters. I'd love to prove myself to them too.
Did you get a Trout at? No, you probably didn't get a Trout at being spring. No.
Not yet.
What's the go-to post-game meal?
Something fatty. Not pizza, but I'm gonna say steak again. Mashed potatoes. Yep.
I interviewed a bunch of the Brewers prospects, and they were all in Wisconsin, and the whole entire team would go to Culver's like after a win. Every single time. Yeah, and then they found out that they did it for losses too. One of the guys was lying on the first interview. Didn't want to seem like he was going after every game, but they were going after every game.
I saw something the other day. Jonah is very well connected with all the stats, and he saw that all the teams were ranked by BMI, height, weight. I wonder where the Brewers stand.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
I really enjoyed the Lord of the Rings series. I read those books and watched the movies. I just appreciate the deeper meaning behind it too.
And then last question, which teammate could you beat at the game of Uno?
All of them.
I'll take like up and down the entire farm system or just Omaha?
Just Omaha for now. I don't know the other guys super well, but I'm going to take Evan Sisk in Uno.
All right, shots fired.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to do like a live stream.
Yeah.
You two playing Uno, see who wins.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
not talking that's going to happen.
Well, Walter, we appreciate your time coming on here, sharing your journey in the minor leagues and sharing your journey right now in Omaha. I know on behalf of Royals Nation here, I mean, we're definitely rooting for you, and we were so excited by what we saw this spring and so far in Omaha, and we can't wait for you to make your debut. And as somebody who's in Kansas City and a season ticket holder, I will definitely be there when you have your major league debut, unless it's my wedding on May 26th. Other than that, I will be there. Kev. Yeah, I know. It's like, well, I got to go to Walter's debut, honey. Sorry. I promised it on the podcast. But we just appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time and thought.
Good luck to the rest of the season. I hope everything goes well. And I mean, like Kev said, hopefully we'll see you in Kansas City soon.
All right. And so to follow more, go to KC Chase to the Pennant on YouTube. And thank you to Walter and Jared Perkins and Preston Farr from Farr to Fountains. We hope you have a great night, and go Royals.